So we are back. I'm actually in beautiful Melbourne, Australia right now, and I want to take advantage of the fast Wi-Fi to make another video. So some of you might have seen the little teaser that I made introducing the topic, which is just so super important to talk about. I've had many conversations while being over here about it actually, and that topic is money and medicine. The business of ayahuasca. Is it okay to be charging for these traditional medicines? What are the risks to culture, to individuals? What are the ethical concerns about there being an ayahuasca tourism industry, and how do we responsibly manage that as it grows and expands? Because that's exactly what's happening. More and more people are coming to this medicine every year, coming to Peru, Ecuador, Brazil, Colombia, all of these places. So that's what I want to talk about. And also, you know, as someone who's operating a centre, there have been questions asked. People have said to me, oh, so you can afford to travel, you know, the fact that I'm in Australia, that I'm not piously just living in the jungle, not receiving any sort of much material income. It's not that people are placing judgment, but the question is raised because there is a fundamental mythology in our culture that anything which is sacred, holy, or to do with spiritual work should not be profited from. That somehow money is bad, or that it's a symbol of being attached to the material world, and that this should mean that you're not in integrity with your spiritual work. Now, I get that. I totally understand non-attachment and the concerns that we have about exploitation of a natural resource, of indigenous cultural property, of the plants themselves, which is something that I will touch on later because that's really important, and of guests, of people that are coming to work with medicine and looking for healing. Because when people are vulnerable and are unwell and are looking for help, it's very easy to take advantage of them, and that is something that also is of concern. So this is the kind of stuff that I want to talk about today. I guess, you know, from my perspective, I've thought about this subject a lot, you know, because it's been 2 years now that El Jardín de la Paz, the Garden of Peace, has been running, and we've had investors, we've had partners, we've had other people that we've worked with, and so there's been a lot of negotiation. There were initially issues where people were not being charged the same thing because one person was booking guests here, we're charging something else, people are paying different amounts. There was issues with the curanderos, by the time all the costs filtered down, not getting paid an amount that we felt was ethical or fair. So we've had to adjust and refine things, and we've come to a situation now that we feel really good about, that we feel is sustainable, ethical, fair, transparent. We've built in structures that mean that our income is going back into the local community and doing all this kind of thing. But the first thing I want to talk about is sustainability, actually. Ayahuasca takes 5 years to grow before you can drink it. 10 years would be much better. I drank some, 30, 40-year-old medicine, and that was beyond incredible, and I was very blessed to have that opportunity. Anyone that's drinking ayahuasca, be it in Peru, Colombia, London, Australia, if you are drinking this medicine, have you asked yourself, where's it coming from? Who's replanting it? And what am I doing to impact the reserves of this medicine that people in these countries have traditionally used to heal for a long time? Because it's getting harder to find. So we actually have plans. We've already replanted, but we have plans for a larger scale replanting because, if we're going through 200 kilos of ayahuasca vine every 6 months, we just can't, we need to be replanting larger amounts. So I'll talk more about that later on, that projects that other people can get on board with if they want to. Sustainability, super important. Accessibility. People that are having challenges with their health and well-being, be it physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, are not always in a position to be materially abundant. Maybe they haven't been working, maybe they can't get down to Peru. Maybe this is the absolute perfect medicine, and these diets as well, not just the ayahuasca but all the other plants, could really help them. So do we charge people, or do we have a price that we charge? Yes, absolutely. And those people that can just pay that without thinking about it, create the conditions for us to offer discounts when people need them. And so it's a case-by-case basis. We have those conversations. And when you stand in integrity, we keep things small, a natural equilibrium tends to come about. And, money is, people have really deep, strong, we all have personal issues around money. We all have a different relationship to it. So from a Western point of view, servicing foreigners that are coming to Peru, we just play it case by case. We have times of year where we have reduced costs, where people are coming for longer treatment. We have a limited number of exchanges that we do. Its accessibility is factored into the whole mix. But to be quite honest, our maestro studied for well over 10 years to get to the point where he can treat patients. And he said it himself, he needed a job. The process of training to be able to do that transforms you. And of course, when you get to the point that you are a maestro curandero, a maestro shaman, you have been through a spiritual transformation and you have learnt, not to be so attached to the material world, all of these things. But the mythology that you should not participate in the world of money and abundance and material things is just that. It's a mythology, and it's based on a set of values that we choose to subscribe to or not to subscribe to. And I believe that someone who studied that hard deserves to be compensated for their work so that he can buy land, build a house, send his kids to school, do all these things. Why not? Help his family, help his community. In fact, I actually believe in, from what I've seen, that the influx of foreign patients in Peru, where I live, is encouraging young Peruvians to pursue the path of healing. It's revitalizing an interest in pursuing this path because it's a huge amount of dedication. I mean, I'm studying these plants at a pace that I can and that I feel okay with, and it's really hard. It's extremely demanding, requires a lot of sacrifice. And there are moments when you feel like your whole life and being and spirit and service on earth has been kind of hijacked by these incredibly powerful spirits, But it is also a job. I still want to fly home once a year and visit my family. I still came to my best friend's wedding, I'm not wearing Gucci and jet setting around and doing all these things. But also for my full-time work and effort, I believe it's fair to be compensated. And for anyone that wants to come and work with us and is interested in more detailed transparency around our financial model, I'm happy to share that. So just write to me. Another thing, a massive topic is, and this is so hugely important, is cultural appropriation and the responsible management, respect, and protection of traditional knowledge, culture, and just quite simply being grateful and respectful of the people that have been the traditional custodians, guardians, and messengers of this medicine for thousands of years. I come from New Zealand, which has the indigenous Māori people that were colonised by Europeans, and I'm very aware of the issues around this subject. Basically, all I can say is we need to listen more than we talk. We need to go there and learn, and if we want to learn about these plants, it's experiential learning. Western culture loves to talk about everything and explain it and rationalize it, but the way that this knowledge is passed on does not go through the mind. It's often not talked about because you get it in the head. It can block the intuitive learning that is integrated. When you learn through experience and you learn through immersion and sitting with a teacher and sitting with the plants and going through the processes guided by them, it comes in and you learn in the heart and in the body. And in this way, the knowledge is protected. The knowledge is transmitted in an authentic way and it's integrated. Supporting local communities. We've been contributing to a local school being rebuilt. Providing opportunities for the resources that are being generated to support those communities in whatever way they express a need to be supported, not how we think they should be supported, because again, this is the issue, coming in and going, oh, well, I can do this, these are my values, that's also another issue. And just storytelling, words are powerful, knowledge is powerful. What we say publicly about this medicine, these traditions, these plants. We're all entitled to have conversations, but being respectful about how we communicate. I don't think that it, personally, I don't believe that it's ethical or fair or respectful to promote, sell, market these medicines. I believe it's very important to share information about safety, about all of these issues, like the conversation we're having now. But I will never try and convince somebody to come. I will never make claims that this is the best, this is that. Definitions are not mine to make, to be honest. I feel that I can be a facilitator and I can help people to have access and have their own experience, but I still very much feel that the traditional lineage of teachers in the Amazon jungle, are the people that we need to look to for guidance on this subject, to direct our questions to and spend time with. In terms of people selling these medicines, like I saw a guy down in the Sacred Valley that had these beautifully packaged glass bottles of ayahuasca that he was selling on the internet. And I don't know, I think it's kind of crazy. It's just very, very strong medicine, and without a very experienced curandero to hold space for you, a shaman, it can just be really wild and dangerous, and I don't know if that's something that I would want to be involved with personally. But we will always experiment, and maybe there are people that are going to benefit. I don't know. We need to ask questions, make decisions, not live a life where someone says this is wrong, this is right, this is black and white, this is what you shall do, like little children. We all need to question our behavior, take responsibility for the choices we make, be informed, and be willing to say, I'm sorry, that wasn't right, adjust things. I think it's the best any of us can do. So those are my thoughts about that subject. I know it's very controversial, and I'm really open to feedback. I'm learning on this path as well, because I work as a healer. There's all sorts of things that come up all the time around this as we move through the world. So feel free to comment, feel free to give me feedback. I want to hear your stories and your thoughts. So blessings. I will be back in Peru in a couple of days, which is quite crazy. And a little update on my personal journey. Some of you might know that I just did a 28-day master plant dieta. I was in solitude working with plants to try and heal some issues with my menstrual cycle. And I just had my period, and it was amazing. The first time in 10 years that I have not been incapacitated by my period. So piñón rojo, sangre de grado, copaiba, couple of ayahuasca ceremonies, lots of tobacco in my hammock, lots of praying. It was bloody hard. It was not fun. It was not fun. I didn't want to be there. I didn't believe it was working. I could objectively see what I was going through, so of course I stayed and I stuck with it and I kept praying and trying, but it was very, very difficult. But now I'm sitting with the results, so I'm really happy. Anyway, blessings to all, and here's to just doing our best. Thanks.